WNDS Sports presents Candlepin Stars and Strikes, featuring the best Candlepin bowlers from all over New England. And now, in our 14th season, your hosts for Candlepin Stars and Strikes, Dick Lutz and Mike Morin.
Hello again, everybody, from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Welcome to Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV 50. Dick Lutz with Mike Morin, and over the course of the next 4 weeks, 5 bowlers will attempt to join last week's winner, Gary Carrington, in our Tournament of Champions at the end of the season.
You're right, Dick, and like our last series of programs, we've got another terrific lineup of bowlers that you're going to see the next 4 weeks, beginning with today's match featuring veteran Steve Vadney and relative newcomer but fireballer Shawn Baker. That'll be your match today. The winner of that one goes on to play another veteran of the North Shore area, Tommy Morgan. The following week, Jeff Atkins, who you saw 3 or 4 weeks ago, returns for another shot, hoping to get to the top of the ladder. And sitting on top, waiting to see who he's going to play out of the first 4 bowlers, is a man who bowls right here out of Leda Lanes, Joe Ashline of Nashua. A terrific ladder. Hope you'll be with us for the next 4 weeks.
Let's meet our first 2 participants in the step ladder competition. Today's match, our 5th seed, Steve Vadney from Claremont.
Yes, Steve has been bowling for a good 30 years, and he certainly will show a little contrast from our other bowler, Shawn Baker. His average is 121, high single is 197, and he bowls out of the Sunset Lanes in Newport, New Hampshire.
And as Mike mentioned, Steve will be taking on our 4th seed, Shawn Baker from Lynn.
Shawn Baker is one of the young rising stars in today's Candlepin activity, currently carrying a 130 average at Lucky Strike Lanes in Lynn. His high single is 204. He's been on television twice, the Skins show on Channel 50, and this is his 3rd appearance. And again, it'll be a study of contrast between the seasoned veteran and the newcoming bowler, Shawn Baker.
We have a great crowd on hand at Leda Lanes. Let's get ready for our first match as Candlepin Stars and Strikes continues on WNDS. There you see the seedings for our next series, and the bowlers today, Steve Vadney, the 5th seed, taking on number 4, Shawn Baker. Joe Ashline waiting in the wings. He's the top seed, and the competition held at the Leda Lanes, which we'll be telling you more about how you can participate in the months ahead and maybe get a shot at appearing on our Candlepin Stars and Strike show on WNDS TV. Now let's get set for our first match, and first to bowl from Claremont, New Hampshire is our 5th seed, Steve Vadney.
A seasoned bowler of many, many years, as we told you. This will be a very interesting match.
That's a pretty good way to start.
That's what everybody came to see today, and they will not be disappointed. You'll see plenty of strikes between these 2 bowlers, Dick.
He's on track for a 300 game.
You are an optimist, aren't you? It's the 1, 2, 4, and the 10. Piece of wood lodged between the 2 and the 4.
And he just missed it. Steve was telling me before the show that he's been bowling in the Claremont, Newport area all his life, and 23 through the first 2 boxes for Steve Vadney. He just came back from the international competition in Halifax, Nova Scotia, as did our next bowler, Shawn Baker from Lynn, Massachusetts. We'll be telling you more about that international competition over the course of today's program.
Yes, the Americans did very well. As folks maybe don't know, it's a competition every year between teams of Canadian and American bowlers. This year held in Halifax at the Halifax Fairlanes. Chopping a bit off the right side, still with half the rack to go for his very first appearance in a singles format on Stars and Strikes.
Shawn's 21 years old, an electrician's apprentice at Interstate Electric. He's from Lynn, bowls at the Lucky Strike Lanes. In Lynn, a high single of 204, a high triple of 449.
And he's still only 21. This is a game where you get better as you get older, generally.
That's a good pocket hit, leaving a solid 5-pin.
The king pin, but he appears to be fully composed for a relative newcomer, at least to televised bowling. As I mentioned, only bowling on the Skins twice in the past couple years.
And the wood rolling a little bit to the right of the 5-pin. And Shawn contemplating whether or not to use that.
He hasn't consulted us yet. I'm not really sure why, Dick.
Right off the red stripe. So both players with marks in their first two boxes. A strike by Vadney to open the match. And Shawn Baker with a spare in his second box. Now on lane 34 at Leda Lanes, Steve Vadney.
Bit of a drop there at the foul line. The ball going to the left, leaving the 4 horsemen on the right side, and the 8 pin in the back, always the most difficult of the 5.
And he gave it a good run. Our triple strike carryover is $550 if either of our bowlers were to put 3 strikes together, as Gary Carrington did a few weeks ago. Watch how close he comes to making the spare here. Just missing the pocket on the left side.
We should. I'm sorry, Dick. We should acknowledge that we have, by all accounts, the largest gallery that's ever viewed a Candlepin bowling taping. Nice shot.
This crowd was here early, and they are very enthusiastic. Watch the replay as that deadwood comes off the wall and takes the 7 pin out, and Steve Vadney has his second mark. Now Shawn Baker working on a spare. Looked like he deserved better.
It always does, doesn't it? It's the 4 and the 7 with a little bit of wood that could be of some assistance. Doesn't have much choice, has to play it.
Not quite.
Steve Vadney has been alive 9 years longer than Shawn Baker's been bowling. Been bowling 30 years. Shawn is 21 years of age.
Shawn with a 4-pin lead, but he's up against Steve Vadney's spare now in the 4th box. Another solid hit. Will that 10 go? It will. The crowd willed it over.
We've got a large enough crowd today. Who knows? That could happen.
And a spare. So both players warming to the occasion.
We've actually had to set up seating on the lane approaches far to our left out of camera view for several dozen other people who unable to fit behind us to view comfortably.
6 in the spare for Steve Vadney. Ooh, he just missed it. He sent that lead pin just by the 4.
It's 58.5 for Steve Vadney. Comes in with a 121 average, 197 high single.
.57 still standing. Steve works for Sturm Ruger in Newport. Been there for 20 years, the firearms manufacturer. A system foreman there. Tried to play the wood and get the ricochet, but only took down one of them.
Dick, he's been on television bowling about 100 times, combined with TV 50, Channel 5, Nesson, Channel 12. Add it all up about 100 times.
.68 through 6 for Steve Vadney. Now Shawn Baker working on a spare.
Shawn Baker's team in the World Candlepin Championships, Dick, came in 2nd place. He bowled on the Leda Lanes team. Congratulations to all the bowlers, many of them pretty young.
Leda Lanes had a couple of teams in that competition,
yes,
did they not?
They did, yes. This was the most successful, the one that Shawn Baker bowled on, along with Sean McKinley, Jim Ferdinand, Chris Bovair, who is our scorekeeper today for the gallery. Also Brian McKinley and Al Ferris.
A lot of deadwood here. Can't pick it up.
His father and aunt in attendance today, cheering him on. How did that stay up? 5-pin lead through 5 completed frames for Steve Vadney. Nobody really charging out of the gate at this point.
The loser of this match wins $100 in prize money. The winner advances to the next round.
And of course, ultimately, Dick, the top of the ladder is a check for $1,000, waiting for either Joe Ashline or one of the other 4 bowlers.
And a berth in our Tournament of Champions. Yep. Again, Shawn letting the wood settle in. And a spare for Shawn Baker. He has a 5-pin lead plus a ball over Steve Vadney through 6 boxes of our first game.
Steve Vadney also performing in the World Candlepin Championships. His team not as successful. By the way, the winner is a team out of Brockton, Lucky 7, and just about every name I'll tell you in a bit you'll recognize.
Steve Vadney. We've seen a lot of splits here in the first game. During our first stepladder series, we saw a lot of pins moving and not falling.
We did launch an investigation, but we're still waiting the results of that, so I'm not sure. Some things simply defying physics, Dick.
Missing the head pin, but getting a good drop of 7.
The big 3, it's called. The 1, the 7, and the 10.
Used to have the high-low jackpot.
High-low jackpot that would get into the thousands of dollars. And it's a 9-box, giving Steve Vadney 87 through 8 frames. Shawn Baker in the 7th now, working on a spare up in the 6th with 73 and a fill ball.
Just sliding by the head pin. Both of our bowlers telling us the experience in Canada and the world competition was a great thing for them both. They had a great time. They met some great people, had some terrific bowling.
And they made some money.
Which doesn't hurt.
Speaking of money, Shawn Baker's runner-up team, Lita Lanes, at the World Candlepin Championships, winning $5,000. So that was split. I see they have 6 bowlers, 6 ways. So it was certainly worth the week away, as many of them had to take work from their regular jobs.
A 9-pin lead for Shawn Baker, and another tough spare leave.
Very makeable, though, Dick. A lot of wood right behind. You can just get it to stir up a bit.
That's a spare for Shawn Baker. And he will take a 10-pin lead and a ball into the final 2 frames. A little full on the head pin that time for Steve Vadney.
3, 4, and the 6 with some wood that probably isn't all that helpful.
Steve's hobby is horseshoes.
A lot of really good bowlers are excellent horseshoe players. You got the same underhanded toss motion. 10-pin bowler Walter Ray Williams is a national horseshoe champion and one of the top 10-pin bowlers, and I mean, they've got like a ringer percentage of 90%. It's unbelievable.
I must confess to you that my knowledge of horseshoe competitors is limited.
Well, you just heard the extent of mine, so that's where we'll stop.
Nice shot. A 106 first game for Steve Vadney, below his average of 121.
A couple of really bad breaks along the way. I mean, that last spare, he was right on target.
Shawn Baker will take a lead into the second game. The question remains, how big a lead?
Boy, does he fire that ball.
Solid 5-pin.
I'm not really sure who throws the ball faster, he or Joe Ashline, who we'll see in a couple of weeks.
Another mark. And an opportunity for some bonus money. 3 marks in a row earns one of our bowlers $50. Oh, ouch. A quarter Worcester.
That hurts on a spare.
You don't see that very often.
No. Well, his lead over Steve Vadney will be less than 2 marks, or pretty close to that, as a result of poor count.
And a $7 to finish. A 124 first string for Shawn Baker. An 18-pin lead for Baker over Steve Vadney as we continue with Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV 50. At the conclusion of today's match, we will have our bonus ball contest, and you'll be able to participate in future weeks by sending in your postcard with your name, address, and picking the number 1 through 10, sending it on to Leda Lanes, 340 Amherst Street, Nashua, New Hampshire 03063. Who knows, maybe it'll be your card that we draw when we play the bonus ball contest at the end of a future match. We'll be playing it this afternoon after this match, which continues with Shawn Baker leading Steve Vadney by 18 pins as we head into our second string. First to bowl will be Shawn Baker,
whose lead probably should have been a lot greater, but he threw a 1-fill on a 9th frame spare. That hurt him a lot. But he'll make up for it here with some gift wood, leaving the 2 and the 7.
7 wobbled a little bit, but decided to stay.
A very enthusiastic crowd on hand today.
Great crowd here at Leda Lanes. 10 bucks for Baker. Dick Lutz with Mike Moran. We're happy to have you with us as you watch the almost spare. Look at that deadwood go flying by. Our next taping at Leda Lanes will be on the 9th of December. We'd love to have you join us.
We may have to add on a few hundred more square feet to hold everybody, but the more the merrier, as they say.
By the way, as you watch this show, the competition is underway for our next taping in December. But for future tapings, if you would like to get involved as a spare by Shawn Baker in his second box, if you'd like to get involved with the roll-offs and maybe appear on our TV 50 Stars and Strikes show, contact Leda Lanes. The phone number in Nashua is 603-889-4884. 603-889-4884. They'll give you the information on the future roll-offs and how you may become a contestant on Channel 50 Stars and Strikes show. Steve Vadney trailing by 18 at the start of the string.
Missing the head pin on both his first 2 attempts. See what he can salvage out of this mess.
$7 for Steve. Talking with Leda Lanes manager Sean Howard before we came on the air here this afternoon about the response to the bonus ball contest from our first series since we came back on the air. There's a strike by Steve Vadney. And the response was terrific, and they came from everywhere, all over New England. It was really gratifying to see as you watch Steve Vadney get a great solid pocket hit.
So we'll pull a card out at the end of the show. One of the bowlers will throw 1 ball, and if it matches the number on the card, that person wins $20.
And we'll keep on adding 10 bucks a week if there's no match.
Which, by the way, you're paying for. I don't know if anybody's told you that, Dick.
Easy come, easy go. My kids think it grows on trees anyway.
Don't they all, huh? They'll find out someday. .34 through 3 for Shawn Baker, who steps over to lane 33, the left-hand lane here at Leda Lanes, Nashua.
Good solid pocket hit.
Nobody hitting bonus money yet. Steve Vadney with 1 strike. If he can string together 2 more, we'll give him $550.
Slid the 5 just in front of the 8. Steve is married. His wife Annette. Couple of kids. Jennifer, 21, graduating college in 1998. 1 down and 1 to go. Steve is 18 years old. Another Steve, a son, and he is at Bentley College. So he's had 2 in at one time.
Don't envy him, but of course you've got one in college, and I have one starting next year.
A spare on top of the strike for Steve Vadney.
The 4 horsemen and the 8 in the back with some wood helping to take out that back row.
And an opportunity to eat into some of that lead, but only 4 on the fill.
Still up the 2, the 6, the 7, and the 10.
That's a terrific shot. So he's picked up 6 of the 18 he was down after the first. And we will continue with our second game of Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV 50. Shawn Baker ready to bowl. He has given back 6 of the 18 pins of his lead after 1 through 4 of the second. Game here at Leda Lanes. Dick Lutz with Mike Morin and our TV 50 crew. The 6 won't go.
I can envision Shawn being the type of bowler that could put 3 and 4 together with just a little bit more luck, and we may very well see that yet today.
He gets in through the back door.
Well, when you think about all the bad breaks you get in this game, you certainly welcome the ones that work in your favor, which aren't often enough usually.
And a good spare opportunity here.
We are going to see a lot from this young man in the years to come. You are essentially seeing him in his first singles appearance on television. He's been on the Skins program twice, but here he is, his first singles head-to-head match with veteran Steve Vadney, and he leads.
And another spare. 2 in a row for Shawn Baker. He'll be shooting for bonus money when he next steps to the lane. Hitting the deadwood right on the nose. Took the spare out. Steve Vadney tries to answer.
Nice break. The 5-pin going down, leaving the 10 with all kinds of wood in front. We would presume beneficial wood.
Just keeping on the lane. I think he's got it. I don't know if he played it that way.
And the crowd is letting him know that he got away with one.
Well, he looked back to the crowd to let them know that he knew that he got away with one.
So we've seen a couple of gifts here in the last couple of frames for both bowlers.
That's a good hit. And that'll take them all.
That's 2 marks in a row for Steve Vadney, and Shawn is working on 2 as well. If he gets a mark right here, he's got $50, and we don't stop giving him money until they stop marking.
Shawn Baker chops it through. Just a couple.
Still 5 standing on the deck. Kind of putting a halt to his momentum.
And a 6 box. We always talk about baseball and other sports being a game of inches. Certainly bowling is a game of fraction of inches.
That is so true.
Missing the pocket.
Gave it a good run. The 9-pin stands.
Very enthusiastic crowd here at Leda Lanes for this first match.
I think it makes it a lot more fun for the bowlers because they feed off the energy of the audience as well.
Watch how Shawn Baker almost gets the spare here as the pins surround the 9, but...
Well, you talk about a fraction of inches, Dick. That just illustrated your point.
Now Steve Vadney working on a strike and 2 marks in a row. Missing the head pin, but leaving the 4 horsemen on the right side as he shoots for bonus money.
It's a $50 shot right here.
And he's got it.
Well, he certainly has taken command of this match when it appeared that Shawn Baker, midway through the second string, might start to run away. Steve Vadney has answered now with 3 marks. And he's got 100 in the 6th. And markup. And a 4 fill. Well, the momentum has certainly swung in his direction, Dick. An 18-pin lead from Shawn Baker last game is now 14 pins. And then some for Steve Vadney in this one.
That's a spectacular shot to pick up a 10. Watch it again. He used the deadwood in front perfectly and took out the final 4.
You always feel badly that you can't give a guy a spare for that kind of a shot. Merit points.
So Steve Vadney has taken the lead. He leads by 6 pins.
Threw everything at the 8-pin, but nothing hit it. One went behind it, one went in front of it. He'll settle for a 10 at best.
99 through 9 for Shawn Baker. Watch the pins go around the 8-pin.
Needs to load up here in the 10th frame to keep it as close as possible starting the 3rd game, which is next.
This is a makeable opportunity for Shawn Baker.
Put it where he should, between the 1 and the 3. Somehow the 3 just never took out the 6.
108. 232.
Well, if you weren't watching the score, you would swear that he had a better game than 108. But only 3 spares, and on one of those, Dick, he had a 2 fill.
Right there, but the 4 won't go. Steve Vadney will carry the lead into the 3rd game. Solid strike.
That's a crusher. 9, the last to go. Nope. Too far to the right.
Second pocket hit that time. And a 9 fill, 143 for Steve Vadney. And a 2-game total of 249, a 17-pin lead for Vadney over Shawn Baker as we head to the final game of our match on Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV 50. Welcome back to Leda Lanes in Nashua, the 3rd and final game of our match between Steve Vadney and Shawn Baker. Steve Vadney leading by 17 pins, and he's first to bowl in the 3rd game. 143 second string for Steve Vadney, coming from 18 pins back after one to take a 17-pin lead into the final game. Oh, how's that for a shot?
That's how you make it, boys and girls. That is the textbook shot of that rather unconventional split. And a nice way to start the game after a momentum swing of about 35 pins between the first and second game. Yeah, the 4 and the 10, last to go. Would have been a nasty split. Doesn't have to worry about that. 2 marks to start off the third string.
Now Shawn Baker.
He has
to respond.
He's got his work cut out for him. I would say that Steve Vadney's had the more favorable pin fall as far as the pin action, which is surprising for somebody who throws his ball as fast as Shawn does.
I'd say that's a pretty fair response by young Shawn Baker right off the bat. He needed a mark desperately, and he got one.
Well, if he's always stays this composed for as young as he is going to be one of the names you're going to hear a lot more from in the future, I'm sure, right here on TV 50.
Right in the pocket, and another opportunity for a spare. The wood is not doing him a favor, though. Now the wood is in a tough spot.
Imagine he'll want to cap the pin on the left. Caught the one on the right. Speaking to Shawn's father before we got underway today, who was here along with Shawn's aunt, Shawn began bowling at 3, and his father said they stopped bowling together when Shawn began beating him on a regular basis, probably around age 12 or so.
Well, he did not get a break in the second box just there, but
no, he's had more bad breaks than good ones today. I think that would be fair to say.
Here's Steve Vadney, a couple marks in a row, an opportunity for more bonus money. Working on a strike.
He's got 50 bucks already. This would be another 50 to add to whatever he makes today. Our runner-up, by the way, $100.
Just slid it by.
Fourth frame for Steve Vadney, who's working on 48 through 3 at a match lead of 37 pins.
Just missed it.
It's too bad because the wood was frozen. Would have been able to sideswipe the one, Dick.
That'll take it. Steve has a little bit of a tail on his ball.
Yes.
Kind of like a screwball in baseball terms.
What 10-pin bowlers would refer to as a backup ball going from left to right. Well, this is Shawn's opportunity to jump on board with a couple of marks, working against 2 non-mark frames for Steve Vadney.
Got to grab the head pin. Didn't do that, and he leaves a high-low jackpot.
We don't give him any money for this, just the number of pins he takes down. Sorry, Shawn.
And an 8 box. $29-pin lead, plus a box.
Really teetered over the foul line, had to kind of balance himself on that shot.
Looks pretty good. A spare for Shawn Baker. He needs to start eating away at Steve Vadney. Vadney with the lead. We've completed 4 in the final game here at Candlepin Stars and Strikes at Leda Lanes in Nashua. Steve Vadney came into the third string with a 249 to 232 advantage, a 17-pin lead. He maintains about that lead with Shawn Baker working on a spare in the fourth frame.
Steve Vadney was our number 5 bowler on the qualifying ladder. Tried to backdoor that 2-pin down, wouldn't happen. He came in with a 647 5-string total to meet Shawn Baker, who was 4th. Our winner this week goes on to meet Tom Morgan, who was our 3rd seed in the recent roll-offs.
Three boxes in a row without a mark now for Steve Vadney, opening the door ever so slightly for Shawn Baker. Second pocket hit leaves the head pin. Everything but the head pin went. That'll be a spare for Steve Vadney, who wins his drought.
The World Candlepin Championships just concluded in Halifax. Lita Lane's team, featuring this young man, Shawn Baker, came in second for $5,000. First place team out of Brockton, Mass, Lucky 7, which was headed by Dick O'Connell, a very well-known name and face in New England for Candlepin bowling. They won $10,000. The members of that team included Det Klein out of Stowe, Tim Soucy, John Cernicki, Chip Carson, Dick O'Connell, Bill Gover, and John Bird.
And a spare for Shawn Baker, and a good one.
I want to thank Tony Cernicki for providing the World Candlepin Championship information for us. He's very proud of his son, John, who was one of the bowlers on the championship team.
Working on a spare.
Trying to eat away at Steve Vadney's margin of 22. And he just got 9 back right there, since he was bowling opposite a 9 box in the 5th frame for Steve Vadney.
Ooh, he spun it by.
That hurts.
Really can't afford to miss too many like that.
And not when you're behind by a couple of marks. He's now got the game lead, but still has another 12 to make up for the match itself. So we haven't heard the last from Steve Vadney. He's working on a spare here in the 6th frame. Wood should be beneficial here. But he missed the object pin, which was the 2.
They're just about even in this string, which means that Steve Vadney maintains his roughly 17-pin lead. Next time you come to Lita Lanes in Nashua, do what we do.
What do we do, Dick?
Head next door to the Kahala Chinese restaurant and
Yes.
lounge. Terrific Chinese food.
Great buffet.
We'll be headed over there after the match. Takeout, delivery, a terrific buffet, and a beautiful banquet facility. And, of course, entertainment. The Kahala Chinese restaurant and lounge. 350 Amherst Street, right at Route 101A in Nashua, right next door to Lita Lanes.
Pair of 10s for Steve Vadney, who's really only left 1 pin standing this entire match so far. That was in the 5th frame when he failed to take down a single pin in 3 shots.
Right through the head pin.
You wonder how the pins have any time to react. The ball is so fast. You punch right through the middle, leave the spread eagle minus the 7. Still up the 2 and the 4. He'll shoot it cross lane from right to left.
And a 10 box. All of the great shots that you're seeing during the course of our match today, provided by our TV 50 crew, directed by Vic Cross. The computer graphics, Lisa Law. Dave McCarthy's working the slow motion camera. Larry Taylor's on audio. Paul Hunter's our chief engineer. And the camera is operated by Bob Dold, Steve Drouse, and Steve Giordani.
I think just about every pin is either still standing or on the deck. I count 9 pins up there. Only needs to take down 4, however.
Hit the head pin and you got it. How did he miss it?
It's what they call pray and spray, or spray and pray, something like that.
Boy, I thought all he had to do was hit the head pin. With all the action on the table, I thought he'd make that. And a 10 box.
Still not out of reach. The match is virtually even. I'm sorry, the game is, but the match still favors Steve Vadney. Down to the 9th and 10th frames. A couple of marks could pretty much put it away right now for Mr. Vadney.
Right on the head pin.
Tom Morgan standing by. He'll be bowling today's winner next week.
And the mark. Did it the hard way again. Went down the middle. Played the wood.
Better to be safe at this point. Defensive bowling, I guess, is what you might call that. Bonus ball coming up at the end of this match, Dick. Somebody could win $20 in the viewer audience. Stand by for that.
125 game.
And a 374 triple for Steve Vadney.
And Shawn Baker needs 40 pins in the last 2 frames to tie. Needs a 142 to tie.
Well, he can still do it, but now he's got to pile a couple of strikes on in addition to making the spare.
That's the first step. Well, needs to make a strike here.
Yes, he needs
and then a spare and a strike.
And that would
tie the match.
Right.
He gave it a shot.
It's amazing. That's exactly where you'd want to hit that that shot in the pocket on the left side. But the ball is so fast sometimes the pins just scatter and don't hit anything.
So Steve Vadney will advance. And he'll climb the ladder. And
Shawn
take
Baker
on Tom Morgan.
Shawn Baker gets $100 for his efforts today and his debut on TV 50 Candlepin Stars and Strikes.
Steve Vadney over Shawn Baker in our match this afternoon from Leda Lanes in Nashua. We'll come back to meet our bowlers in just a moment. Welcome back to Leda Lanes in Nashua. Dick Lutz with Mike Morin, and our match complete with the veteran. Shawn, a check for $100, and your first experience in singles competition. What was it like for you?
Very exciting. Like he said, you know, I threw a good ball, but hey, he threw a great ball and he deserved to win.
Congratulations. Thanks for being with us. We look forward to seeing you again. Shawn Baker, everybody. Now, our winner, Steve Vadney, will throw a ball in our bonus ball competition, and we'll match it up with a postcard and see if we can get a winner. Better do that now than during the course of the game, and Michael will draw out a postcard and we'll see if we can get a lucky winner. Great number of postcards sent in over the past several weeks, and we appreciate that. And let's pull out a winner and see if we can match up the number. And it is Bob Goyette of Nashua, and Bob picked 7. So I'm sorry for Bob, not a winner this time, but we'll add $10 to the pot, and next week we'll have $30 for our bonus ball competition. Moving a little closer, Steve, down 18 pins after the first game, and what were your thoughts at that time?
Well, I was hoping that I could get a few breaks, get back on the head pin a little bit. I was off the head pin in first string, and if I get on the head pin and throw some marks, hopefully Shawn wouldn't match me, and that's the way it turned out. And and I got a couple of breaks in the third game, so he got a real bad break on a single pin that he hit pretty good, but it's the world of bowling, right?
Now, your wife was standing behind us during the course of the game, and do you ever get to see the check, or does it go right to her?
Usually right to her, but let her stay there all the time, huh?
Steve Vadney will move on, and he'll take on Tom Morgan next week as we climb the stepladder on the way to #1 on Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS, and we will see you again next week. Thanks very much.